this video is to show you how to make this sweet baby lamb. So this baby lamb is a new pattern from my mini pom plushies collection, and it's a no-sew project, except for this tiny bow here, which can be sewn on if you decide. And then we've got a little bit of embroidery for our nose, but beyond that, everything is crocheted as we go. So they work very, very quickly. They are great for Easter decor. They're great for gifts and random acts of kindness and craft markets. So for the yarn that I've been using actually a combination of hobby yarns. I like the Honey Bunny, Toucan, and Baby Snuggle lines of yarn, and you can work them all interchangeably within the same animal. So that's been really neat for stash busting. Today I'm going to be using the Hobby Honey Bunny yarns in purple, beige, and white. And this yarn here, if you're looking for it, it's the Baby Snuggle print yarn. So it's still a hobby yarn. So they're all on the same website there, and I will link everything below for you. In addition to the yarns, I also have my H hook, which is a 5.0 millimeter. I have 10 millimeter safety eyes. Now, these are optional. You could embroider the eyes on after if you prefer. And then I have my stitch markers, scissors, needle, and of course a bit of stuffing. So when you're watching the video, if you'd like to follow along with the written pattern as well, there is a free version available on my website, and there's also a paid PDF, which is available to purchase on my Ravelry and Etsy shops. So I will link all of that below. And another quick thing I like to mention is that you can adjust the playback speed by going to the cog in the upper right corner, and you can speed up or slow down the video so that it works at the pace that you're working at. And that's about it. So let's get started. So to begin, we're going to start with the bottom. So this pattern works from the bottom up. So we're going to start down here with whatever color you want to have for the pants or the skirt that you're putting on your lamb. So I'm going to use my purple, and I want to start by creating a magic ring. And if you aren't comfortable with making a magic ring out of the chenille style yarns, that's okay. Go ahead and chain 2 and then single crochet in the second chain from the hook for your entire first round. So we've got our magic ring here, and then I'm going to place 6 single crochet stitches in the magic ring. And because it's a chenille style yarn, I'm going to do that fairly loosely so that the ring closes easier. Then the rest of my rounds will be done tighter. So again, 6 single crochets to start. And then we want to close our ring. Now, if you're looking for more detailed instructions about a magic ring, invisible decrease, things like that, I do have a beginner tutorial section on my YouTube channel, and I will link it below for you. Okay, so I've got the ring closed, and then we're going to put in our stitch marker and start round 2. So round 2 will be an increase round. So we're going to go from having our 6 stitches up to 12. And to do that, we want to place 2 single crochet stitches into each stitch. So we're increasing in each stitch around. Okay, and for round 3, we're going to increase again, this time going from 12 stitches up to 18. And to do that, we want to place 1 single crochet in the next stitch and 2 single crochets in the stitch after that. So single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to alternate that all the way around. Single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And go ahead and repeat that all the way around. Okay, so we should be up to 18 stitches. Then round 4 is where we are going to add our legs and tail into the body. So we will start with a single crochet stitch, and then we'll place our bobble, some single crochets, bobble. So I'll go through that slower with you. I just wanted to give you an idea of where we're starting. So you want to grab your other color yarns so you're ready to switch your colors over. And we are going to start with a single crochet. And to finish that single crochet, that's where you want to change your color to beige or whatever sort of body color that you'd like. So here I can show you here. So I've used this face color for my arms and legs as well. Okay, so we're going to change color by using the new color for the last pull through of that stitch. And then we're going to create a bobble stitch. So for this pattern, there are 2 different sizes of bobble stitches. The limbs, like the arms and legs, they have a full-size bobble stitch. And anytime we're using the white yarn, we're going to be doing a smaller bobble stitch. I'll show you the difference. I just wanted to give you a heads up. So we're going to use a full bobble stitch here. So to do that, we want to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2. And you're going to repeat that sequence another 4 times, so 5 times total in the same stitch. So you're basically starting like the beginning of a double crochet stitch 5 times and then connecting it all together at the top. So again, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2. And we need to do that 3 more times. Okay, so now you should have 6 loops on your hook. And what we want to do is to grab our purple, and we are going to yarn over and pull it through all 6 loops on the hook. So you want to keep everything nice and tight so that your bobble sticks out. Okay, and then you're going to single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. So push your bobble over and make sure you're actually working in the next stitch and that the bulk of it isn't covering that stitch. And again, I'm keeping everything nice and tight. The only thing you don't want is to tighten this too much so that you can't see the stitch, because you need to work into that in the next round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5th stitch. So before you do the last pull through of the 5th stitch, I want you to take your beige yarn. So I haven't cut it yet. I'm going to cut it with a few inches. I will secure this at the end of my round. And then I'm going to use my beige yarn again for the last pull through of this 5th single crochet stitch. And we're going to create another full-size bobble stitch. So to do that, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook to the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2. We'll repeat that another 4 times in this same stitch. Okay, and then once you have the 6 loops on your hook, you're going to take your purple yarn again, and you will yarn over and pull it through all 6 loops on the hook. Again, remember you want to keep everything nice and tight so that your bobble sticks out. Okay, and then push over your bobble, and we're going to single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, on the 5th stitch, you want to grab your white yarn, or whatever color you're using for your fleece. And use it for the last pull through of that stitch. And then we're going to do a small bobble stitch here. So a small bobble stitch for this pattern works the same as the full-size one, except instead of repeating that sequence 5 times, we're only going to repeat it 3 times. So the bobble won't stick out as much as the arms and legs. So yarn over, insert your hook into the indicated stitch, so your next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, through 2. We'll repeat that 2 more times for this bobble, small bobble. Okay, and then we're going to grab our purple yarn again for our last pull through. Keep everything nice and tight. You still do want this bobble to stick out a bit, but just not as much as the others. And then we're going to finish the round by single crocheting in the last 4 stitches. Okay, so we should still have 18 stitches here. Before we go ahead with our next rounds, we want to go and secure our legs and tail. So you're going to cut the white and beige, or whatever colors you've decided to use. And then what I do to secure them is I take the beginning and end of each bobble, and I just tie the 2 ends together. You know, tie it nice and tight, but you want to make sure it's not too tight because you don't want to lose your stitch, because you need to work into that stitch in your next round. Okay, so there we go. Got that all nice and secure. And then for rounds 5 and 6, you're going to single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to do those off camera. And when I come back, we'll do round 7 together, but just single crochet in each stitch around. So you'll still have 18 stitches, and you'll do that for rounds 5 and 6. Okay, so here we are at the beginning of round 7. And round 7 has 2 options for your round. So for both of the options, we're going to be working just in the front loop. Let's start by showing you that. So each stitch is made up of a V, and so there's a front loop and a back loop of your V. I don't know how easy it is to see with this color yarn, but this round 7, we will be working in the front loop only. And then round 8 will be worked in the back loop only. So that will allow us to have this bit sticking out while still continuing up the body. So your options for round 7 are to either slip stitch all the way around to give more of a sort of like shorts type look, or if you want the little frill, we're going to alternate single crochet and then 3 half double crochets in each stitch around. So you choose which one you want to do. For this guy here, I also have instructions for showing how to make these overalls in the bunny video. So I will link that specific spot for you at the bottom here in the description here as well. So if you decide to slip stitch around, you can also add in those little straps if you want. Okay, so today I'm going to do the frill of the skirt, and we are doing it in the front loop. But before you start this round, I want you to go ahead and mark the back loop of the first stitch. And this will just help you, especially if you aren't used to working in the back loop when the front loop has already been worked into. It'll just help you to be able to find where the stitch is. And you could mark all of the stitches if you wanted, but I don't think you need to do that. At least this will give you a guideline of where to start for round once we get to round 8. Okay, so for round 7, I'm going to do the frill for the skirt. And to do that, I want to single crochet in my first stitch. And again, I'm only working in the front loop of each stitch all the way around. So I single crochet in the first stitch and then do 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. And I will alternate that all the way around. And again, if you want to make the shorts, then you go ahead and slip stitch in each stitch around. But make sure you're not slip stitching too tightly, because then it'll pull in the body of the lamb. You want to keep them fairly loose. Okay, so when you reach the end, you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch you made. So that's the same whether you've slip stitched all the way around or whether you've made the frill. You're going to slip stitch to the first stitch of this round, and we're going to end off. So I'm going to leave just a few inches there because I'm just going to pull that inside the body here. So I went under the stitch I just made. All right, so then what we want to do is we have our first stitch marked here, and I don't have my stitch marker back in here, but I could add it in here. So this is the last stitch here. And there will be a bit of a jog here. You can see the difference between where this starts and this starts. That's because our round is changing, and that's okay. We'll be able to tighten up things when we start like round 9. So don't worry about that. Okay, but to begin round 8, we're going to take the white color unless you're using a different color for the fleece. But I'm going to take my white and I am going to attach it to the back loop here that's left over from round 6. So round 7 was worked here into the front loop of round 6. Now we're going to work into the back loop of round 6. So we're going to attach our white yarn. So at the end you can secure it better with the purple tail here that we're pulling in, but I would wait till the end of the round to do that, just in case you have a bit of a hole that you need to sew up. Okay, so attach your yarn at the beginning of round 8 here, which is the back loop of round 6. I know that sounds confusing, but I hope you can see what I mean by that. And we want to start with a small bobble stitch. So remember, our small bobble stitch, we're only repeating this section 3 times rather than 5. So yarn over, insert your hook into that where you've attached your yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, and one more time. Okay, and we don't need to change color or anything here. We're just going to stick with our white all the way around. So then you're going to yarn over and pull through the 4 loops on the hook. And then for your next stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. And you're going to alternate between a small bobble and a single crochet all the way around. And you will still have 18 stitches when you complete this round. So we're beginning with 18 stitches, ending with 18 stitches, but we do have the bobbles that we're going to work, the small bobbles that we're going to work in this round. So again, we're going to do another small bobble here. Okay, so once you've finished that, what I should have done is I should have changed my color over here. So on this the last pull through of the last stitch, that's when you can change your color over to whatever color you're using for your face. So for me, it's beige. Okay. So let's put our stitch marker back in. And then before we start the next round, which is round 9, before we start round 9, we want to figure out where we want the arms to go. So we all crochet a little bit differently, and sometimes we have more of an angle to our stitches, and sometimes they're a little bit straighter. So I like to take the time here before adding the arms to make sure that the arms will still line up with the legs. And once you've done the pattern a couple times, then you'll get to know whether you need to add or remove stitches, which I'll show you how to do in just a sec. You'll get to know whether you need to do that or not. So you won't always have to measure it out this way. Anyways, so we want to measure out the middle 8 stitches. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to add stitch markers to all of it. You don't have to have stitch markers on all of it, but I want to be able to show you clearly what I'm talking about. So I want the middle 8. I'm going to start with the middle 2, which is right over this bobble stitch here. So there's the middle 6, and then either end. So these yellow stitch markers, these are where the arms are going to go. Okay. These are where your arms are going to go on either side here. And what we want to do is we want to count over 1 stitch to the right of all of these stitch markers, because we want that to be the first stitch of the next round. If you're left-handed, you're going to count over 1 stitch to the left, because you'll be coming around this way. You'll count over 1 stitch to the left and for your first stitch of the round. So we're going to look over here, and I have 2 stitches here still. Oh, no, I just have the one. This is to the beginning here. This is my stitch up here, my bobble stitch. So an easier way to decide that is you count all your stitches, and then you'll know for sure whether this is 1 stitch or 2. So I'm going to be working in the next stitch as my first stitch. If you need to, you could go back a stitch here and make this the first stitch of your next round, or you could do extra in here, and if everything is shifted this way. I don't think things are going to be shifted too much, just because we haven't had many rounds since we did the legs, and that's how things get jogged. But just in case, I wanted to show you how to fix it. So yeah, the first stitch of round 9. And round 9, we're going to start and end with 18 stitches again, but we'll have the 2 bobble stitches for our arms. So we'll start with just a single crochet in the first stitch of round 9, which is our bobble stitch. Okay, and you want to keep that nice and tight. And if you find that there is a hole here, so I've got a little bit of a hole, you can take the end of the white yarn and kind of sew that up from the inside. Okay, so again, beginning around 9, we started with a single crochet. We're going to do a full-size bobble stitch in our next stitch. So to do that, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, repeat that 4 more times for a total of 5 times to get the full size of that bauble. Okay, and then yarn over and pull through all 6 loops on the hook. We're not color changing at all in the middle of this round. Okay, and then the next 6 stitches, you're going to single crochet in each stitch. Okay, so again, single crochet in the next 6 stitches. And then once we get to that last stitch marker, we're going to bobble stitch in that stitch, a full-size bobble. Okay. And then you're going to single crochet in the last 9 stitches. So if you haven't already, go ahead and end off your white yarn. Make sure it's secure. So I usually tie it in with the beginning of the beige yarn. And tuck it all in there. And I'm going to grab my stitch marker. Okay, so let's start round 10. Round 10 is a decrease round. So we're going to go from having 18 stitches down to 15 stitches. So we don't have any bobbles or anything to do with this round. We're just going to single crochet right through. So you're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. And you'll repeat that 3 times around. So again, we're going from 18 stitches down to 15. Okay, so on to rounds 11 and 12. So rounds 11 and 12, I'm going to do off camera because you're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. So again, just single crochet in each stitch around. So you'll still have 15 stitches by the end, and you're going to do that for 2 rounds. And when I come back, we will do round 13 together. So here we are after rounds 11 and 12 have been completed. And we're just going to head into round 13. But before we do that, we want to measure out where the ears are going to go. So just like when we did the arms, we want to make sure that the ears are going to be placed properly. And again, like the more you make these little guys, the more you'll know where the ears are going to go and won't have to measure everything out. But I want to make sure I show you how to. So for this, we want the middle 7 stitches. So this is the middle stitch here, and I'm going to place the stitch markers moving out from that. Okay, so there we go. And our ears are going to go on the 1st and 7th stitch. And we want to turn our work here, and we're going to find the stitch to the right of the stitch markers, and we want that to be our next stitch. So for me here, I'm going to add in an extra stitch here, and it's a shift stitch, so it doesn't count as a stitch for round 13. It's just an extra stitch we're going to add that we're going to add between the rounds. Yeah, it's just an extra stitch that we're going to work here just to line everything up. Okay, and again, if you're left-handed, you're going to be working on the left-hand side instead of the right. Right, because you'd be coming around this way. So this would be the stitch that you'd want to be your first stitch of round 13. Okay, so round 13 is also a decrease round. So in addition to making our ears, we're also going to be decreasing as we move around. We'll go from having 15 stitches down to 12 stitches. So we'll just take one stitch at a time here. We'll start with a single crochet in this stitch to the right of your stitch marker. Okay, so now that we have our stitch markers in place, we want to move to the stitch right to the right of this last stitch marker. And that's where we want our first stitch to be. And our first stitch is going to be a single crochet. Okay, and then next where this yellow stitch marker is, so it's our first marked stitch, this is where we're going to place our first ear. So the ears are going to be made similarly to the frill down here, where we're going to work only in the front loop of the stitch. And then we're going to save the back loop for our next round. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the back loop. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to mark it just to make it easier to show you in the next round. And we are going to begin the ear by slip stitching into the front loop of this stitch. And all of the instructions that are shown in the brackets, they will all be completed in this front loop. Again, we're slip stitching, and then we're going to chain 4. Okay, and we're going to work back along this chain. And I like to work in the back loop of the chain because I know that I'm only working one side of the chain here. So that'll give me a V pattern on both sides of the ear. So you don't have to work in the chain this way. It's just the way I prefer. So in the back bump, so the second chain from the hook in the back bump, we're going to place a single crochet stitch. In the next chain, we're going to do a half double crochet. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the third chain. And then to finish the ear, we're going to slip stitch again in the front loop of that same stitch. So our ear is going to come forward, and then when we work our next round, we'll work for this stitch, we'll work in the back loop to keep this ear forward. Okay, so then we're going to work in these next 5 stitches. We're going to do a decrease with these next 2, a regular single crochet, and then another decrease. Let's take these out. Okay, so we want to do a single crochet decrease. And then a single crochet, and then another single crochet decrease. And that'll bring us up to our next ear. So this ear will be worked the same. And again, I'm going to place my stitch marker in the back loop here to make it easier to show you for the next round. And in the front loop of this stitch, we are going to start with a slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 4. And working back along the chain, I'm working in the back bump. We're going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Then in half double crochet. And another single crochet in this last chain. I shouldn't say another, a single crochet. And then we're going to slip stitch in the front loop of that stitch. There we go. And then moving on to the back of the head here, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then we'll do a single crochet decrease and finish our round with a single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. So on this final stitch, you're going to want to change colors again to your white, because our final 2 rounds will be done in white. Okay, and I will secure this, but I'm going to wait till after the round to do that. Oh, I should use my stitch marker to mark this as well. Okay, so to add the eyes in, the eyes go on round 11 about 4 stitches apart. So what we know about the pattern is we know that the arms here, we crocheted those at round 9. So we just need to count up from there. So 9, 10, 11. So this line here is the line that we want to put our eyes on. And so I'm going to start by placing the first one. I don't want to put the back on or anything. I'm just going to place it in there just to see what it looks like. And then I'm going to go over 4 stitches because I want them 4 stitches apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just place that in there. And what we're going to do is just kind of check to see what that looks like. So I have my stitch markers back here, which are, there we go. Okay, so is that centered enough? I think it is. I think that'll work. If they're not, then move one eye over 1 stitch and the next eye over 1 stitch and then check again. So, and do that until you're happy with where the eyes are. And then we're going to go ahead and secure them. Move my stitch marker out of the way. And I'm just going to place the backs on them. You can secure them with whatever trick you like to use. There we go. And then we can go ahead and start our next round. So for round 14, we're going to do bobble stitches in our round to make the little top part of the head with the hair. So that's why we're using our white again. All right, so what we're going to do is we will still have 12 stitches at the end of this round. So we're going to do a small bobble stitch in our next stitch, followed by a single crochet in the stitch after that. So this is actually the slip stitch from the ear, so keep that in mind. But yeah, we'll do a regular single crochet in that stitch, and we're going to alternate the small bobble single crochet all the way around. So yarn over, insert. And again, when we're using the white, we're just doing a small bobble. So we're only repeating our sequence 3 times, and we'll have 4 loops on our hook before we finish the bobble. Okay, and then to do the single crochet here, we're going to flip our ear forward, and I still have a stitch marker in here somewhere. There we go. So that's showing where the back loop is, and that's where we want to do our single crochet. So I spaced it out so that we're not trying to do bobbles in those back loops. The bobbles will happen here and here, like on either side of the ears instead, so that you only have to place your single crochet in the back loops. And then we need to do another small bobble. Single crochet. Okay, and then we're at our other ear. We've got our stitch marker in the back showing us the back loop. And we're going to place a single crochet in that back loop. Okay, and then we're going to come over here, and this is our next bobble stitch here. Okay, we're going to end with our single crochet stitch. All right, so before we do our final round, I'm going to go ahead and secure this. I should have probably done that a little bit sooner, but I can still see in here where the ends are, or where they go. So we'll tie that off, add it in, and then what I'm going to do before I move on to the next round is I'm going to add my stuffing, or most of it anyways. You'll find, especially with this pattern, we're going to end with 8 stitches before we close up. So that's lots of space to be able to add extra stuffing in. So you don't need to put all of it in now, but it is easier to place a bunch in now rather than wait right till the end. You want to make sure as you're going that you get right into the sides. You don't want it to be too tall and narrow and not have that sort of egg shape that we're going for. Yeah, so I go around and I add extra in the sides. Okay, and then after the last round, you want to make sure that you're adding more underneath the lip here so that the head doesn't look flat. Okay, last round, round 15. So for this round, we are going to go from having 12 stitches down to 8 stitches, plus we're going to do bobbles in this round as well. So to do that, we're going to start with a small bobble stitch here in our first stitch. And then we're going to do a single crochet decrease, and we'll repeat that all the way around. Small bobble, single crochet decrease. So you can do invisible decrease or regular ones. Because of the bobbles, I don't think it'll make a whole lot of difference, although the invisible ones might leave less holes in your final product. So again, we're small bobble and then a single crochet decrease all the way around. And that will leave us with 8 stitches at the end of our round here. All right, then after this round, you want to go ahead and end with a slip stitch to the next stitch and leave about 6 to 8 inches of yarn so that you can cinch up the top of the head. Okay, and then see how that's really pointed? I'm going to go ahead and add in more stuffing here. You can use your fingers, you can use the end of the hook. It can be quite helpful for placing the stuffing in to the little gaps. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead with my needle and cinch up the top. And then I think we'll make a little bow for this one. And the bow is a completely optional thing. And when I'm cinching it up, I like to end with a little knot and then make sure I am pushing the knot into the body. All right, this little ear doesn't want to sit. There we go. so on to our little bow. So I'm going to use the purple for that. And the bow, we're going to start with a slip stitch. Leave a bit of a tail there because we're going to use that later. So slip stitch, and we're going to chain 3. And then we are going to work all our stitches into the 3rd chain from this hook, starting with a double crochet. And then we're going to chain 2 and slip stitch into that stitch. So that's sort of the first half of the bow here. Then we're going to make the other half over here. So chain 2, double crochet, and then we're going to chain 2 and slip stitch. Go. And then you want to leave about 8 inches or so of yarn, maybe 12 inches. You don't need that much though. Pull our yarn through. Okay, and then to make the center of the bow, we're going to wrap the long tail around the center. So we've got our double crochets on either side. We're going to wrap this long tail around the center. I think about 4 to 5 times should be good. So 1, 2, and you want to wrap it fairly tightly. 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we're going to use this tail to tie the long tail to it at the back of the bow. Okay, and then we're going to use this long tail to sew it. So I'm going to place it just here on this ear because this ear doesn't want to sit right anyways today. So we're going to go ahead and put it right around here. So we'll start by placing, I think we'll go up here. Maybe we'll go through the front of the ear as well to keep that ear out of the way. Yeah, that should work. So we'll go through here, and then I'm going to find, so where I wrapped the yarn around in the center, I'm going to go under that section to secure it. And then I'm going to go through, make sure my ear is still sitting the same way, okay? And then I'm going to go down through the body again, and then back through that part of the bow again. Make sure it's not wrapped around anything. Okay, and then to end off, I'm going to tie it again to this smaller tail, and then I'm just going to poke both ends in through the head. Okay, there we go. So we have our little bow. We can still see our ear. We just need a nose. Okay, so to make the little nose, I'm going to use some pink yarn here. I've got my toucan. It's sort of a medium pink. You want about 12 inches or so. You may not need quite that much. And thread your needle. Okay, and then we want to do the nose in a bit of a heart shape. So I'm going to come here. So this is round 10 here. I want to come right in the center of round 10. So it's kind of between stitches. And then I want to come up in the middle of this stitch, just over to our left. So we're a little bit on an angle through that set of stitches, and we're going to go through them one more time, the exact same stitches, to start to create this side of our heart. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. This time we're going to go down the same hole at the bottom and then come up just over and to the right, and see that's in the middle of this V of the stitch. And then we'll go through the same set of holes again. Okay, and then we're going to finish it by tying at the base of the little heart here, and make sure the knot is right down at the bottom. And then we're going to push the knot in as we put our tails in. And then take out the extra fluff if you have it. Go ahead with your needle and sort of even things out here. And there you go. Okay. Cut our tails. And there we are. We've got our little sheep, or lamb, sorry. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye for now.